Within this video, you will learn about a few lesser known but extremely handy packages that will make your Next.js web development efforts a little easier. Now, instead of creating another boring, generic list of the most popular packages like TypeScript, Tailwind and Cypress, I thought I'd focus on some of the lesser, well-known packages, in other words, the hidden gems. So, within the next 10 minutes, I'm pretty confident that you're going to learn about one or two new packages that you weren't aware of that will make your development life a little easier. And stick around to the end and let me know if you agree with my list or you think I'm a wally. If this is the first time that you stumbled across this channel, then my name is John and I release a video every single Sunday that will help you become a better web developer and an all-round coding legend. So, if you appreciate all the research it takes me to create these videos, then please hit subscribe and like to help me grow this channel because it's very much appreciated. The first extension that I want to review is called Zod. Now, no, this isn't the bad dude from Superman. Instead, Zod is a must-have tool if you use TypeScript within your Next.js project and you need to call an API in order to get data. Now, a big issue with calling an API normally is that you have no control over what data is returned. In most applications, your Next.js web page will be relying on the API returning data in a format that you expect. And if the API fails to do this, your application will likely blow up. Now, the main benefit of TypeScript is improved type checking support. Being able to define interfaces and schemas that allow you to find what data you expect to be passed into a page or component has been proved to reduce the overall number of bugs that you'll find within your application, as well as speed up development. Now, wouldn't it be nice if you could extend this type checking ability to the data returned to your API calls? And this is where Zod comes to the rescue. On the screen, you can see an example of a very simplistic JSON file that I've created. So it's got two properties, title and content, both of type string. So let's see how we can use Zod to then validate this schema. Now, going over to our code, the first thing we need to do is import Z from Zod. So our next task will be to import that JSON file or call the API and then define ourselves a schema. So we can create a schema using z.object. And from here, we can then define how this JSON file meant to look like. You can see here that I'm defining my title, my content, and both need to be of type string. Now, if I do the dot here, you can see that we've got loads of stuff. So we've got things like booleans, customs, dates, we've got enums, functions, we've got nullables, numbers, objects, optionals, pipelines. So as I'm hoping you can see, Zod basically gives you loads and loads of stuff in order for you to define very specific and detailed schemas. After defining our schema, Zod is going to return a Zod object. And using this Zod object, we get access to a parse method. Now, passing in my JSON into the parse method, we can validate that our API response or our JSON file adheres to the schema. If it does, brilliant, we can move on. If it doesn't, we're going to get an exception and things are going to blow up. And this is where the real beauty of Zod comes into play. It will allow you to create a very detailed schema that will allow you to validate any single API request to make sure that the data returned is in a format you expect in order to make sure that your Next.js website doesn't blow up unintentionally. The next package that I want to tell you about will allow you to quickly and easily level up the aesthetics within your Next.js website. Now, the package is called mProgress, and mProgress will render a small progress bar whenever a page is being loaded. Now, after enabling this progress bar, your users will experience a smoother flow when navigating between the pages on your Next.js website. Now, in an ideal world, all your pages will be lightweight. However, in the real world, sometimes you have more heavyweight pages that take a little longer to load, and adding transition to these pages will make them feel much more responsive. Now, the good news is that mProgress is easy to install within a Next.js website. All you need to do is include the mProgress CSS and add a bit of JavaScript within _app.js, add some event handlers, and then call mProgress.start and mProgress.done to show and hide the progress bar respectively. Now, one of the standout features of mProgress is its ability to automatically detect AJAX requests and update the progress within the bar accordingly. Now, this all happens without you needing to do any additional coding. Additionally, the package provides several customization options, such as changing the color and thickness of the progress bar, as well as the ability to set custom easing and speed values. To implement mProgress within your website is pretty simple. First, fire up your _app tsx or .js, depending if you're using JavaScript or TypeScript. Then from here, you just need to import two things. So your CSS file and the mProgress package. Now, once we've got that, we basically need to register some event handlers. So all we need to do using the router is to do router events on. Then we need to do the start on the start and the done on the complete. And we do the same just down here on the off. We need to make sure that we turn it off. And basically that's all we need to do in order to get going with mProgress. And literally that is all that you need to do in order to install that blue nice progress bar on your NextJS website. Now, yes, it can be customized. However, as you've seen, it literally takes a few minutes to install. So why not give it a try? The next package that we're going to review is called Zustand. So Zustand is an alternative state management library. So if you're basically fed up with the complexities and bloat of using something like Redux, then you may want to consider Zustand. So the reason why you should consider using Zustand over something like Redux is you don't need to mess around with reducers, actions or dispatchers in order to handle state. Simply using Zustand means less boilerplate code within your codebase. Now, Zustand uses hooks, so it can access the store easily using deconstruction. Additionally, store access is super quick as Zustand makes effective use of memorization. Zustand, as you'd expect, supports async functions and side effects. Finally, Zustand renders components only on changes to the value of state, and changes in state can often be handled without having to re-render a component. The last thing to point out is that the package is pretty small, weighing in at only 2 kilobytes when gzipped. So if that sounds good to you, you can install Zustand using npm install Zustand. With Zustand now installed, let's see how we can create a store. So first off, whenever you're using Zustand or any kind of state management, we need to create some sort of store. And in Zustand, we can do that using this create. Now, Zustand does support TypeScript. So when we're creating our store, we can pass in a type, as you can see here. So I'm creating a very simple store, for example, called custom state. And from here, you can see that I've got some properties, amount and title. I've also got a function. Now, when we're creating our store, we get access to a set and a get. Now, moving over to my Next.js page, in order to access my store, I can import it just like any other import. Now, one thing which is worth pointing out is that we can use deconstructing here. So you can see that I've got access to my amount and my update by simply calling this use custom store. Now, in order to render out information from the store, we can just render it normally. And then we can also just pass in information and parameters into our functions in order to update it. And going back to my store, you can see that update amount expects it to be a number. Then we're getting the existing amount using the get.amount. Then we're setting the new value by adding in the new amount with the number passed in. This is then going to give us a brand new total. I've now launched the application and you can see that page up and running. Now when I click on click me, you can see that the amount is being updated. So if you're looking to add in some sort of state management into your Next.js projects, then yes, you've got things like hooks and context. However, if you need something a little bit more complex, but you don't want the complexities of Redux, then Zustand is a great package to think about. Now, as you've seen, it works with TypeScript, it uses hooks, so it's very quick and easy for you to create a store and then access that store within your Next.js pages. The next package that I recommend you check out is called npm check updates. Now, npm check updates will allow you to automatically check if any of the npm packages installed within your Next.js website are out of date. npm check updates will generate a status report on which of your packages are out of date. And this is obviously very handy to help you keep your dependencies up to date. The other cool thing about this package is you can also use it to automatically update your package as well. In order to install npm check update, it is recommended that you install it globally using the -g flag. Now, after you've got it installed, all you need to do is navigate to one of your projects in your terminal and type in NCU. This is then going to generate you that report you've seen, and then in order to update your packages, you just apply the -u command and off you go. It really is that simple to install and check that your npm packages are up to date. So it's definitely worth giving this one an installation. In order to make sure that your brand new Next.js website has the best chance of being found on Google and search engines, you want to make sure that you have a sitemap and a robots.txt file. Now, instead of reinventing the wheel, you can make use of Next Sitemap. You can install Next Sitemap via npm using npm i next-sitemap. Now, after the package has been installed, it's very straightforward to configure it. In essence, what you need to do is create a new file, which is called next-sitemap.config.js. And within here, you basically put in all your configurations. So it's possible to enable a robots.txt file by setting true. It's also possible to put your base domain by setting the site URL. Now, after doing this, you can basically fire open your Next.js website. And when you go to sitemap.xml, you can see you have this amazing sitemap which is being generated for you, and off you go to the races. So, to ensure that your website is SEO friendly without you needing to reinvent the wheel, install Next Sitemap. One of the amazing things about Next.js is that it offers both server-side rendering and client-side rendering. And for me personally, this is one of the main reasons why I started using Next.js way back when. However, having code that can execute either on a server using Node or within a browser has some gotchas. Now, one of these areas is cookie handling. And when you create a cookie, it's obviously created within the client's browser. However, sometimes you want to access the values from your cookies on the server. Now, as you do not have direct access to the cookie server side, you need to write different code in order to access cookie values. Now, on the server, you can get cookie values from the request header. What this means is that within your code, if you need to access cookies on both server and client, you need to write different code. Now, for someone like me who has code OCD, I like my code to be as consistent as possible, regardless of where it is run on the stack. So, instead of simply having to live with the trade-offs of using the native cookie API, Nookies offers you an alternative option. Now, the great thing about Nookies is that it has a simple and intuitive API that's easy to learn and get going with. Nookies has a single API that supports both client-side and server-side cookies. And Nookies integrates with Next.js's server-side rendering really well, making it easier to retrieve cookies in server-side in get server-side props using Nookies compared to natively. Finally, in case you're worried that another package will simply add bloat to your bundle, the good news is that Nookies weighs in at less than 1 kilobyte when gzipped. Okay, so let's have a look at how we can implement Nookies within Next.js. Now, at the top here, you can see that I'm importing Nookies. We've also got pass cookies and set cookies. We have a few options depending on if you want to do client-side or server-side reading. Now, straight off, you can see here that I've got a use effect, and in here I've got my pass cookies. Don't need to pass anything in here, and then to access a cookie or to read it, I can just do the cookies and then pass in cookie name. Now, underneath, I can then set a cookie. So I can either do nookies.set. Within Next.js, we can just pass in a null for this first parameter, the context. Then we give it a name, and then we give it a value. And you can see it exactly the same from these cookies here, where we are passing in the context as null. We've got a cookie name, we've got the value, and then we've got some cache validation options, like the cache time and the path. Now, one of the nice things about Nookie is that it also works with server-side. So in our get server-side props, you can see here that I'm passing in my context. Then I'm using the same parse cookies. However, this time I'm actually passing in my context object. Then I can read a specific cookie here. So you can see here that I'm accessing my server cookie, and then we can then pass it on. And this is one of the nice things about Nookies, is because it works both server-side and client-side, you can just use the same API very easily without needing to worry about anything else. So, I'm hoping you found at least one hidden gem that's going to improve your Next.js projects. I've used all of these packages personally, and I can say they're all pretty good. I'm also really interested to know, do you agree with my list? Do you think I've left anything out? Let me know in the list below. Now, it does take me a long time to record, research and edit these videos, so if you have found value from it, please either subscribe or like, because it does mean the world to me. Now, if you're interested in learning more about NextJS, I've actually created a video on the best hosting for NextJS. Is it Netlify, Vercel, or GitHub Pages? Now, the link to that video can be found on screen right now, so click on that if you want to learn more. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in this beautiful world, and until next Sunday, happy coding.